Hello.
Good morning.
Hello. So when I had the honor of being asked to speak here, because this is a wonderful place that has a special place in my heart, I was looking at the name of the place and your name, Home, H-O-M-E, I didn't realize was an acronym until I started researching a little bit about this place. And I looked at that and it said, helping ourselves, you can help me, helping ourselves master every day. And my reaction was immediately, master every day? I can barely get through some days. Oh my, that's a tall order. And that was my reaction, but my response, which is different, that I've learned to take a moment and have a thought and think about, I don't think they mean mastery in the way I think of it. The way traditionally I learned in Kansas is, that I should be it would be the Lord and master of something, somebody who's got it all together and has all the skills. And yeah, I felt welcome even though I didn't have that here. I think a lot of it comes from I kind of blame Plato. Plato has the idea of form, that everything has an ideal shape. And I learned when I was growing up that I need to have an ideal shape. I need to have an ideal chair. And well, this chair, it's not really ideal. It doesn't have some of the things that maybe chairs should have. And so this idea of being perfect started to entrench itself in my body and started to entrench itself in my behavior and my relationships, especially with myself. I began to not always like myself, much less love myself. Yesterday, I had a lot of things to do. I'm packing for a trip. I was kind of getting ready to come here. I'm meeting a new friend. And in the middle of it, I decided it would be a good idea to go ahead and plant my seed that I got at the last Sisters Circle. We got it in a cup, and I had it in my car since then, and even had found a little lidded cup and put it in there. And so I had this little seed, and I knew that once I watered it, I needed to have it in the sun, needed to be able to let it grow and let it master its environment. And so I decided to replant it last night in the middle of all this busyness and a list this long, which it was not on. And when I did it, I couldn't find my seed. I was transferring it into a pot that my daughter had made for me, and I transferred it. And as I was going, I looked through the dirt, and I siphoned it through my fingers, and I'm looking for this seed, and I thought, what kind of metaphor is this? It gave me a seed. I planted it, and now I can't find it. So after 2 times of going back and forth, and by now my bathroom sink is covered with dirt, as you can imagine, which is not also cleaning my bathroom was not part of my list. And now it became so. So I finally, after the 3rd time of going back and forth, I found it, and it would have been planted way in the bottom if I wouldn't have checked. And it wouldn't have been able to sprout out because it would have had so much stuff on it. Stuff that nurtures it, but it needs a little bit less than what I had. And in the process of that, my nails became blacker than usual. Now I know what nails are supposed to look like. I've been to a nail salon, seen, and even had done a little bit of what's supposed to be done with your nails. At least when you're going to be presentable, or when you have a job interview, or when you're preaching somewhere that you really, really hope to enjoy, and folks enjoy it as well. So I had to let go of that. I had to let let go of the idea that you would notice any little dirt under my fingernails. What's more important is the experience I had and the camaraderie that we have when we all experience something like this, when we don't do the typical mastery of life. How I came to this idea of maybe letting go of the common conception of mastery. I'm going to take a risk here because I know when you watch a new show and there's a pilot and they have to set up all the storylines in the back, and it's not really their best episode because you have to learn about everything that kind of got them there so you can see the future and understand what's going on. So I hope you ask me back because I'm going to give you a little bit of my pilot. In 1985, when I was 21 years old, my father died in a way that was tragic, but also I didn't know the details for sure. I still don't know the details. I don't know what happened. I don't know what even completely the cause of death was. And for me, someone who ended up in a master's degree program at Harvard, not knowing something, that's my bailiwick. I know things. I can't run fast. I can't look awesome, but I can know things. And I began a journey of letting go of that idea of mastery, that my idea of mastering life was to know everything. Any of you?
What? Hi. Sorry.
Then in 2007, another thing happened. I had a transition from a relationship and divorced the father of my child. And my prayer then was to not become bitter. I'd seen people become bitter. And so I knew that I believed that love was stronger than anything else in the world and that it would maintain. I think about it, I think, people say, well, here's an example that came to mind when I was getting ready for this. There's a cartoon in which a young woman is standing in front of the person of Satan. In hell, she is there obviously waiting to hear what her punishment is. And Satan, who I don't believe in the person of Satan, but in this form, Satan says, yeah, we used to do that, hard work, hard manual labor in burning flames. But we figured out it's much more entertaining to hold people to the standards that they set for themselves and watch them suffer. Oh yeah, that's my idea. That's my idea of hell. I don't really believe in hell, but yeah, that's hell on earth. The woman standing there like this, just totally. Oh, I felt that. I felt that slavery in my body. Standards we put on ourselves. The actual word perfect, though, doesn't mean an ideal form. It means finished in that moment. Not even finished for all time, but finished in that particular moment. Well, yeah, maybe I could master every day if I need to be just finished with whatever I need to do at this second, on this day. It takes a lot of pressure off to think of just being finished and taking everything that I know right now without regret, without expectation, and just be finished in this moment. When I think about that, I can let the spirit enter my body. There's room made for the spirit. I'm no longer in jail. I heard that there's get out of jail cards. Yeah, I get that. The prisons that we put ourselves in. The thing that led me to meet Jen happened in 2018, 5 years ago, 4 years ago. this month. And when that happened, I thought to myself, not even knowing that Maya Angelou had said this before me, so copyright notice that I thought of this myself. I really thought so, at least. I decided I didn't want to just survive that, like I talk about doing every day. I wanted to thrive. In the long run, I wanted to not just get through that, trudge through, barely getting by with enough to get by with presenting myself to the world as a functioning human being. I wanted to thrive. There's an idea that a crisis is both a risk. It's a time of risk. It really is. It is something to be scared of. When there's a crisis, things happen. I work at funerals and I've seen people be the worst to each other at funerals. But it's also an opportunity. It's an opportunity to let go of all your expectations. When you're in such a tragic circumstance, you can say, oh, the world's upside down. What else is different? What else was I expecting to be a particular way? And it's just not, at least for me today. I have said, if I ever get certain of anything, then I want somebody to get that big hook and pull me off of the pulpit. Because I'm not certain of anything. I don't have objective reality. I have subjective reality. I can only tell you what I know now. And I can listen to what you know now and learn from that. And that's beautiful. That's not what the world presents on Facebook, but it is what I see when I come here. A couple of years ago, I was diagnosed with cancer, and they told me at that time, after I'd had all these other things happen, and I'd gone to support groups for this and support groups for that, and all these different support groups, and they told me, you can go to a support group. We have support groups for you. It's really helpful. And I was like, I actually became irate. No, I don't want another support group. I refuse to go. And I had the surgery and I'm all better now. But I find this place a place that I can come and try to work toward a new understanding of mastery every day. Even if I don't have the same problems as you, even if I have no problems that day. That's my kind of support group, because I don't always have problems. And so it's nice to be someplace that you can come if you don't have any problems that day, or if you have all the problems that day. So I'm glad to be here. It is today there will be a lunar eclipse tonight. I heard you guys reminded me of that actually, and it's going to start at about 8:30 p.m. our time. We probably won't be able to see it, but it's still going to happen, which is an awesome metaphor to how our lives are. We may not see what's happening, but it's happening. And the lunar eclipse is a time when, I see a picture of the moon there, a time when the moon is in the shadow of the earth. And so it becomes red. Tonight's going to be a blood red full moon eclipse around 9:15. We might have clouds, might, but it'll be perfect because it'll happen and it'll happen the way it needs to happen. This lunar eclipse has been talked about as a time to make changes, big changes, to take on new things. But before you can take on new things, you have to let go of some old things. And I had to let go of knowing everything. Since then, I've had to let go of thinking I can help everything or fix everything. I had to grieve letting go of those things too. When you let go of things, yes, it may be a positive change, but positive change is stressful as well. And even when we improve ourselves, the people around us get stressed because things are different. So this is a time for us to take a big breath, look at ourselves and see who we are at that moment. And consider ourselves perfect in a way. So I have a quote from, it's a conversation between dancer Martha Graham, who was the mentor for dancer Agnes DeMille. And Agnes DeMille confessed that she had a burning desire to be excellent, but no faith that she could be. Martha said to her very quietly, there is a vitality, a life force, a quickening that is translated through you into action. And because there is only one of you in all of time, this expression is unique. And now I'm going to step aside, and I've heard that before. Yeah, I know. It's me, I'm unique. I have experiences that are unique. But if she went on and said, if you block it, it will never exist through any other medium, and it will be lost. The world will not have it. Again, I'd heard that before, but this I hadn't heard. I'd heard that it was no one else's business what their opinion, it was none of my business what their opinion was of me. But she goes on and says, my opinion of me is also none of my business. She says, it is not your business to determine how good it is, nor how valuable, nor how it compares with other expressions. It is your business to keep it yours. Clearly and directly, not filtered through everybody else's expectations, not filtered through my mom, not filtered through my mate, clearly and directly, to keep that channel open to me. You do not even have to believe in yourself or your work, she says. You have to keep yourself open and aware to the urges that motivate you. Notice those. Keep the channel open. So she goes on and says, but when I see and so Agnes replies, when I see my work, I take for granted what other people value in it. And she was a famous dancer. And she said, I see only its ineptitude, inorganic flaws, and crudities. I am not pleased or satisfied. That's how I felt when I thought about the word mastery, when I thought that I was going to have to come here and talk about mastering every day. Martha replied, no artist is pleased. And we are all artists because we are created and we are creating. I don't know if you've ever been on Google Documents and worked with a document that someone else happens to be working with at the same time. My boss and I the other day were working on the agenda for our staff meeting. And at the moment I was on there, he was also on there editing. And I said to him, I typed in there, this must be what God feels like when we're creating with God. Because I was watching to see what he was changing, and I was recalculating. God was probably recalculating because, you know, everybody's recalculating based on the circumstances. And so she says, no artist is pleased. And then Agnes replies, but then there is no satisfaction. And Martha replies, no satisfaction whatever at any time. Not making beans about it. She cried out passionately. I didn't do that because I'm not sure about the noise level on this. She said, there is only a queer divine dissatisfaction, a blessed unrest that keeps us marching and makes us more alive than others. That is mastering. That is perfection. When the lunar eclipse tonight happens and things are revealed and you face fears or you face having to do something you've never done before, picture a movie that has a big scene at the end. I like to think of Harry Potter when the mother of one of the kids and one of the teachers, Maggie Smith, I think, is out there and they're doing battle with the, after 6 episodes, they're doing battle with this guy. I like to picture that. That's my reaction when I think about this. But my response is each of us should picture ourselves in that battle every day. It sounds hard, and it is, but it's different. It's different than we were raised to believe in many cases. And when we are in places like I am here, that we feel that difference kind of rubbing up against what we learned, that's when we know that we're home. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.